Good evening, everyone. This is Frank of the C Team. Just me. Mike isn't here at present, but I would just like to do something a little differently with the channel for a moment. Back in the earlier thousands, I participated in the Bob and George forums. Bob and George being a sprite comic that used mostly Mega Man 7 video game sprites. And being in that forum, my brother and I started a comic called Something. And since then, spriting has been an on and off hobby of mine. I always wanted to do something with it, but I never really had the time to get something started. So I decided to try full animation. I was playing around with RPG Maker, and I didn't like the sprites, so I started to make my own. But before we get to my better stuff, let's delve into this folder, Mind the Dust. So, I once called this file an evolution, but the evolution doesn't go anywhere, so bear with me. Also, sorry if this picture's a bit blurry. I'm using PowerPoint to record. My apologies. So, anyone watching who's been on the forums will probably recognize these two sprites. This is a recolor of Zero. And recolors were very common in the BNG forums. They basically just ripped off Bob and George itself, us included. Yeah, I'll fully admit that. It's amateur work by people in high school and college around that age. So yeah, just not to make excuses, just giving you the reason. So yeah, as you can see, I took Zero, made him blue, and I can actually show you the means for which we did that. Basically, we select a color, we left click on it, and then we pick another color. See, back in old MS Paint, you could just right click on it, but we have to actually click on the color before we can change it. Like that. Let's make it pink. So yeah. As you see, that shade is now pink. Again, sorry if this is too blurry. I'll try to get better recording software next time. So yeah. Another neat trick of MS Paint. Click the other button. Cancels everything you just did. So after the recolor, I basically... And here's what we call a Frankenstein. Because we took parts of another sprite and incorporated it into the sprite that you're working on. These legs are actually from the Falcon armor from Mega Man X5. So I recolored that. And I apologize for all the cyan. I really liked the color at the time. I thought it made it look more futuristic, but I was wrong. So, those who have just been in the forums, haven't been in the chat room, at the time, might be a little confused by this model. This was going to be part of a sequel series we did after our main comic had its proper ending. Actually, one of the few comics that did get a proper ending. And this isn't a Frankenstein, this is more just an edit of what Zero already has. See, not much difference in the shape there. Got rid of the knee things and just kind of gave him these weird cyan colored red whatever the hell shoes. So I'll save your eyes and stop looking at that. I don't know what you're talking about, Paint. So again, this has been an on and off project for a while. And, at some point I decided to do things from scratch. You're not going to see the original scratch sprites. They're ugly as hell, and I'll spare you that misery. So we'll jump ahead to within like the last 5 years. What I was working on. This was intended to be a sprite. I meant for it to not be like Mega Man related. So I took the boots. Anyone who's played Mega Man probably remembers how large the boots are, except for Mega Man Zero. So it made them human sized. And yeah, it's a lot of designs carried over, like the V he has on the front of his helmet, the ponytail, though much more conservative this time. The main problem these sprites have, these two are actually from. I decided to do sprite renditions of characters from an RPG campaign using the Dresden game rules. And the main problem with these is they're kind of dead-eyed, and also that shoulder, the right arm looks weirdly stiff. But considering previous iterations, not bad sprites. Yeah, Dresden fans, this character in particular was a Grey Warden. I'm sorry, plain old Warden from the Dresden Files. With the gray cloak and 2 swords. So, another old thing we look at. Here's my reference sheet for the various poses the second outfit got in the comic, in all its fiery red lightsaber glory. And in case you're wondering, all the shades of like fire, red, orange, gold, are actually from this sprite. The fiery uppercut that Zero gets in X4. But yeah, this borrows some things from X6, since he had more of a solid lightsaber at that point, as opposed to the more kind of like, I don't even know how you, almost looks like a green torchlight. And fun fact about X6 sprites, they use slightly different shades than the previous 2 games, X4 and 5. So yeah, that was fun to sort out back in the day. Get out of that. And again, on-off project, I tried doing some attack sprites. Whether we have his regular standing, in attack formation, and then this stands the end of the first strike, actually based off of a pose in, well, not so much pose, more like the last frame of Ryu Hayabusa's first like regular attack in his 3-hit combo in the 3D Ninja Gaiden games. So yeah, I think this came out pretty well. Nice line of action, and copied off of someone else's work, but it's more just a reference point. So let's get out of this. What to show you? Ah, I can show you this. So this fella is for an RPG, like kind of a SNES style RPG that I'm brainstorming at the moment. This is one of 2 projects that I'm currently soul searching / just again brainstorming. And this is the first from scratch sprites I had done in quite a while. Show you that. Discover for myself, adding a shadow to a character just grounds it a bit more. But yeah, the reason for this is well, didn't want to use the standard sprites RPG Maker has for a couple reasons. One, I don't like the art style. Two, I want it to be as much my own thing as possible. So, a little over ambitious, maybe a little too ambitious to actually get stuff done, but there you have it. And I think he overall has come out well. A bit stiff, but sprites of that time were always kind of stiff back in the day because it was just standard walking around over a map look. Chrono Trigger did a little bit better than most other games at the time, but that was more the exception than the rule. So he's an elf ranger. Not entirely sure what precisely I want from the game, but we can discuss that another time. This. And so, the thing I've been working on, most recently is this beat 'em up. That I have been brainstorming for a little while. So, this is essentially the same character as from the comics, though. Different backstory, different, personality, different like everything else. And, I don't like bragging. Obviously I'm not at a professional level yet, and this is still a work in progress, but the stance, the face, and everything else just has 10 times more personality than anything else I've worked on before. So I'm actually pretty proud of this project. Definitely the face. The face is definitely the hardest thing to do because zooming out, you still have so few pixels to work with. I was considering getting a helmet, but I think I prefer him not having one on. I was a beat 'em up. It's not supposed to make sense. So yeah, what I have done so far for this character is standard, standing, and then you have kind of like the wind up for the hit, and then the first frame of the first strike when it actually starts doing damage. So yeah, there is no in between this point and that point. That's basically going to go from this frame to this. And it's mainly because that's how Mega Man Zero did it. I can show you real quick. So I saved this just to partially as a reference, partially to show you. So you see, the wind up, for the attack, and then he's all the way outstretched in the next frame. I feel it helps make the attack seem faster without it looking like someone's pressing fast forward. In comparison to X4, sorry, the X4 is a attack sprite, as we can see here. So you actually have several, frames. Like you have like 3 frames, between him grabbing the sword and, having his arm all the way down here. And of course you have, the dissipating trail, but, Mega Man Zero had that as well. And the way the animation looked in this game, in recent years, I realized that it was basically on a fast forward button. Mega Man X, even during the charge attack where he's firing his cannon and his cannon lifts up over his head from the recoil, that uses less frames than this attack. And as a result, Zero always looked a bit more fast forward, like someone clicking fast forward button. I mean, it did work for gameplay. For every frame that hits, the enemy takes damage. So there was a practicality to it, but for the game that I'm brainstorming, I feel Mega Man Zero's style of just fast animation just works better. So actually, we can compare my old stuff more readily here. So let's see. Do I have okay? So I can move him or just copy. Oh yeah, another thing you want to do in Paint is turn transparency on. That way, anything white basically disappears, and stuff can appear behind them. That was another neat trick from the BNG days. So yeah, we have for some reason white in the newest version of Paint is very inexact science. I was pretty sure that was a white background, but never mind. So yeah, this stance suffers from just like a very boring just A stance, like spread out, not really leaning his weight anywhere, and his arms not really doing anything. And here you have more of a line of action. From his front foot there up to his neck, and also again, just much more personality in his look. He's ready for a fight. He's whatever's staring at to our right is probably going to get his head cut off. And yeah, just a lot more determination in his look. A lot more just gravitas. And now the reason for this sprite, and I'm probably not going to this particular stance. The reason I'm not going to use this one, I initially intended for him to go from here to this stance, and then it'll crash forward. But I realized that didn't really flow right to my mind. So that's why I created this stance. Basically, the upper body didn't change. The upper body didn't change much, but legs spread out, and especially with Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero, Zero's feet are actually planted for every hit in the combo. In a lot of fighting games, especially Ninja Gaiden, the character is moving around. He's taking a step forward. He's really like stepping into the attack. In a game like this, it doesn't really work all that well. It'll be a bit clumsy. I guess it just works better with 3D models. So we want the feet basically planted, but what the legs this close together doesn't allow me for a lot of movement. So that's why I had them crouched down for basically that first frame, like in Mega Man Zero, and then lean into the attack. This is definitely the most of a work in progress. I think I definitely want to do the trail a little bit differently, but I still think it works. And another thing, I actually did this sprite first, obviously, just to see where the trail was going. So I did that, and then using the line tool, going like that, help me shape the attack. Sorry, this has been mostly rambling on, but I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial in brief history on amateur sprite work, and we'll see you at the hypothetical next time. I'm Frank Curley of the C Team, and good night.